Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here. Today we continue the Golden Era series on Mike Mentzer and his principles of heavy-duty training. Now, as I mentioned in my previous video, heavy-duty training is an abbreviated method of progressive resistance training with a focus on gradually increasing intensity in your workouts for the goal of achieving maximum muscular growth in the shortest amount of time possible. In his book, Heavy Duty Training, A Logical Approach to Muscle Building, there's a really good chapter which is the focus of today's video, and it focuses on realistic goal setting when it comes to the rate of muscle growth for natural bodybuilders. And I really think that this topic is a fascinating one and worth discussing because most people don't really understand how fast muscle really grows, especially in an average drug-free individual. That's what we're going to basically address today. We start off with this awesome shot of Mike Mentzer in a relaxed position at the beach, looking absolutely massive and thick and dense, and also that moustache. I think that's bigger than the rest of his physique. So let's have a look at this, his ideas on setting realistic goals. Now in this chapter, he actually addresses that muscle growth is a pretty slow process, especially in normal average individuals. Muscle growth takes a long time beyond normal levels, that is our normal everyday functioning level, and therefore a great amount of stress has to be placed for muscle growth to actually occur. And if you can imagine, as he puts it in the book, a gain of 2.25 kilos or 5 pounds over a year being achievable, it is achievable, and it would be actually a very considerable achievement in itself. Not body weight, but actually muscle. 2.25 kilos or 5 pounds of muscle is quite a lot, and a lot of people don't actually understand this. If you now have this rate of growth, of muscle growth over 5 years, we're talking about 11 kilos or 25 pounds of muscle. And if that doesn't sound impressive, can you envision, as he puts it in this particular chapter, can you envision that much beefsteak laid out on a dinner table? And if you can imagine 11 kilos of beef on a dinner table and then whack it onto an average human being of about 75 kg, an average male, then you've basically transformed an average male into a veritable Hercules of almost 90 kgs of solid cut up muscle. And in this respect, when you take what he has to say in this particular chapter into account, of just over 2 kilos of muscle growth a year is quite a lot, and a lot of people don't actually understand that that this muscle growth is actually a really slow process. I think he addresses it very well and gives a very realistic expectation for the average normal bodybuilder who is a drug-free athlete. Now in this chapter, Mike Mentzer even dares to compare the top muscle stars from the 1977 Mr. Olympia to make his point. His point being that it doesn't take that much muscle to transform a physique. Even if we as naturals were to gain between 10 to 20 pounds, which is about 5 to 10 kilos, over 5 to 10 years, the change would really be dramatic and pretty impressive. Now, of course, we cannot all expect to look like the bodybuilders from the 70s, who obviously use steroids, but his point is valid. When you consider that most of these competitors of the 1977 Mr. Olympia weighed under 200 pounds, which is the equivalent of 90 kilograms, given, yes, they are shredded. However, most of these guys started at a weight of 150 pounds early on in their career, and therefore they must have gained between 20 to 40 pounds of muscle over the 10 years, and yes, using steroids. But the main point that I really like is that, again, Mike Mentzer emphasizes steroids or not, the point is it doesn't take that much muscle to truly transform a physique, but it does take time. For example, one can consider the physique and the change that Frank Zane made, weighing at 187 pounds, shown here winning the 1977 Mr. Olympia. We see the physique of Bill Grant, who weighed 184 pounds. Boyako at almost 200 pounds. Ed Corney at 174 pounds. And finally, Danny Padilla, who weighed 165 pounds. He then actually focuses on Danny Padilla. Now, for some of you that may not know, according to Mike Mentzer, he actually states that Danny Padilla started off when he started bodybuilding at only 120 pounds, and over the course of about 10 years, he gained 45 pounds of muscle. So we're talking 4.5 pounds of muscle per year over 10 years, and obviously the results are amazing. His point being that gaining 10 to 20 kgs of solid cut up muscle can truly transform a physique, but it takes a long time. Muscle growth is a slow process. Now, another great part of this chapter is how Mike Mentzer actually addresses the rate of muscle growth in regards to it not being a non-linear trend. Basically, when you gain muscle, you gain muscle in cycles. Muscle gains are sporadic. It's not a linear thing. It's not a linear fashion. And basically, he states, and this is very true, some months you will experience a gain in muscle weight and others you will not. And this is because strength and muscle gain are sporadic. And it's because your body needs to adjust slowly. We're talking about increases in bone strength, increases in your joints, we're talking tendons and ligaments, before the body can actually support muscle growth. And this makes perfect sense. This is why for 1 month you'll gain a lot of muscle, and then for a couple of months there's absolutely no muscle, because the body is going under transition. The structure of the body has to change. We're talking about bones and joints. Without stronger bones and joints, basically the foundation of the physique, if it is not strengthened, how can you expect to get muscle gains? I mean, the man is a genius, and this is really, really solid advice. I really love this. And this is why he states, yes, for a proper physique change, for a drug-free individual, it takes 5 to 10 years. 5 to 10 years. And this is not the first time I've actually heard this. I've read this in Bill Pearl's book, Keys to the Inner Universe. He actually states there, Bill Pearl does, that the pursuit of muscle growth is a very long-term thing. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time. Bill Pearl states it takes about 10 years to transform a physique. Arnold, in his books, in several of his books, he also states the same thing. It takes at least 5 to 10 years to transform a physique before you see a major change, especially in muscle growth. So I hope you've enjoyed this video on Mike Mentzer's thoughts on the role of realistic goals in regards to muscle growth, the rate of muscle growth. At the end of the chapter, Mike Mentzer actually states, which is the topic of the next video, the role of genetics, and really how, of course, unless you are not genetically endowed, you can never truly expect to win big titles, because it is those genetic freaks that are born with a propensity to gain a lot of muscle on their structure that actually gives rise to these potential Mr. Americas, Mr. Universes, and Mr. Olympias. As I mentioned, this is the topic of the next video. Hope you've enjoyed the video and Mike Mentzer's thoughts on the role of realistic goals. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't to the Golden Era Bookworm. There are many more videos on the Mike Mentzer and Principles of Heavy Duty Training topic coming. Thank you for watching, and leave me your comments. This is the Golden Era Bookworm. Bye for now.